Hey ho, SallyBC here, and today I'm doing a video on the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Battle Across Time 2-pack, Sideswipe and Skywarp. So here they are in their alt modes. You can see Sideswipe in his car mode and Skywarp in his bird mode. I think first I'm going to cover Skywarp because there's a bit of interesting history to this character that I actually want to talk about. So a little bit of history on who this character is before I get into it, because you may not necessarily know. Whilst this figure is a retool of the Kingdom Air Raider, he didn't always start out life as that. Originally, he was a Beast Wars second character that combined with two other characters, Leo something, I don't remember his name, and an elephant, I don't remember his name either. But in the Western audience, he was known as Silverbolt and combined with Prowl and Ironhide into Magnaboss. But they probably named this figure specifically Skywarp because they probably didn't want to get it confused with the Beast Wars Silverbolt, which I'm assuming we'll probably get next year. Even though they released a figure of the G1 Skywarp a year prior to this, and another one the year before that. And there's also going to be another one this year. It's just a little weird, I think. Anyway, getting on to the actual figure itself, I love how this thing looked. It made it like my top 5 of figures of last year, I believe. And it looks like a really, really nice bird. He's supposed to be an eagle, but I think this figure is actually a falcon, or maybe a hawk. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, I still think it looks really nice. The wings can fold out like this, and they can flap. They have a hinge here, a hinge here, a hinge here, a hinge here, and a swivel there, I guess. The head is on a hinge. It can move down and up, and there is also a small little hinge at the mouth that allows it to open and close. The legs are on very limited movement. They can move forward and back here, as well as forward and back there a little bit, and there is a ball joint here. And if you want to, you can detach it there and move it around, but that doesn't really look all that too good. And there's also a little flap at the back here for the tail, which, I mean, it doesn't really do all that much, so there's no real point in doing it. Also, the head can also move around like this. I forgot to mention that. Now, it does look like this is just a robot sitting down with a bird on its back, but I don't really mind. I like how it looks. For size comparison, here it is, as always, next to Earthrise Optimus. This is a very, very large bird. And here it is next to another Flying Deluxe class bot, Titan's Return Mindwipe. Now this guy's transformation is actually pretty cool. So what you're going to want to do first is just move the wings out of the way like this. You're going to want to come down here and untab the legs and move them down like this. You're then going to want to straighten out the legs, like that. Same on this side. Swivel round the feet. Swivel round the lower legs. Open up the tail at the back here, and swivel that entire section around. And then this will then tab back into place like that. And that is the legs all done. Then you want to come to this pieces. These will untab from here, even if they don't tab in all that well to begin with. Straighten out, twist around, and this piece will flip up. Same on this side. Will come out and go out like that. Then what you're going to want to do is come to the bird head, and it will fold down just a little bit. That will untab this piece, and you're just going to fold that back. Then you just want to, I'm going to close the mouth. Fold this entire piece round like this, like that. Then these two side pieces are both on these like double hinged pieces, so they'll move down and fold into place. And then the bird head has a little slot underneath it that little tab there will go into, like that. Then you want to come to the back. There are these pegs on either side of this back piece that will go into slots on the back, just like that. Then there are these little bits here that will go into these slots there on the back, just like that. Same on this side, just go in like that. And then finally, you just want to come down here. You can leave these on, but I personally like to take them off and plug them into his arms like this. I can understand why you might not want to do this, since Air does this. Also, I should have mentioned this in the comparisons, but I don't own Kingdom Air, so I can't compare him to her. There is Skywarp in his robot mode. Hey, editing Sal here, just to say the feet are actually supposed to be this way around to better match the animation model. I prefer the feet the other way around though, but you know, I thought that I'd add this to the video just to keep you informed. Now the light is washing out the white a little bit, so it's all kind of blending together in a way, but I'll try my best to show this guy off. So I really like how this robot mode looks. I think it's really, really cool. I really like the bird head over his actual head, even if he's got this bird head here, because of course the original figure had the beast mode head sort of like on top of the robot mode head, and I think this looks pretty nice. The head is on a ball joint so it can move around, and it has great flying head. And if you move out the wings a little bit and open up this back section, you can get even better flying head. Every single character that can fly should have a flying head. The arms are on swivels so they can move up like this, down, and they can move out here as well, but it usually takes down the shoulder pad, so you're just going to move that back up. There is a swivel here at the bicep, as well as a elbow that goes just a little bit over 90. And there isn't any wrist articulation, but you can like bend his forearm if you want to. I guess there's also like a semi-swivel at the missiles, but there's not really any point in that. There is a waist swivel, and it's not limited by the tail, surprisingly. The legs can move forward about that far. You can lift that up to make them not go out to the side. And they can move back about that far, but if you get the tail out of the way, they can move back about that far. And they can move out this far. In fact, if you move the arm out of the way, yeah, they can go up even further like that. There is a swivel above the knee. I would prefer a thigh swivel, but that's fine, I guess. There's a bend at the knee. There is a shin bend if you want to give him like chicken legs, but I don't. It would be nicer if this maybe locked in a little nicer, but it's fine. And there is a ball joint at the foot, which allows for great movement. The wings also have some movement to them. They can move out like this. They can move back like that. And if you unpeg them, then you get the same amount of movement as you would in beast mode. I personally prefer having them folded up. It gives a more sort of mechanical sort of feel to it. Like this is the only way that it can fly. I would like if maybe they were a little lower down and maybe this could go up just like a little bit more. Like if they had maybe one more feather here that could then go up. Because I would have liked that sort of upwards movement. It still has a little bit the upwards thing, but I think it would have been nicer if it could go up just one more. And for size comparison, here he is again next to Mindwipe. You can see his wings completely outclass Mindwipe's. And here he is next to Optimus. Moving on to Sideswiper, I won't bother talking about this character since he's not nearly as interesting. But here is his car mode, his Ferrari, I believe it is. Looking pretty nice, or maybe it's a Lamborghini. I'm not sure. It's one of those supercars from back in the 80s, you know. I mean, it's an 80s version of a supercar, not... I'm not saying Lamborghini and Ferrari are from back in the 80s. Anyway, here it is. I think the window choice is a bit weird for an Earth mode. Like, yes, the clear plastic with the plastic underneath it looks good, right? Don't just leave it clear, and it looks better than just regular plastic. But the choice is a bit odd for this sort of like mechanical look for an Earth mode. Besides that, it's a pretty nice car mode. I wish it had a spoiler, and I'm sure there's some upgrade kits that do that, but yeah. And this definitely was my favourite deluxe when I got it. Moving on to size comparisons, here he is next to Earthrise Optimus. And here he is next to Titan's Return Hot Rod. I think this definitely shows that deluxes have gotten a little bit smaller, but it'll become more apparent in robot mode. Now this guy does have some weapon storage. It isn't great weapon storage, but it's fine. His gun can chill on the top, and his missile launcher can chill on either of the sides. I would have liked if this could be incorporated into the vehicle mode a little bit nicer, since this does kind of become part of his robot mode, but that it doesn't really matter all that much. Now for transformation, this guy is pretty simple, but it's pretty satisfying. So you want to come down to the bottom and open up these flaps here. You're then going to want to swing this entire section around like that. Move these back like that, and they'll push out the feet. Then you want to close these up and slide the legs apart. These are on those type of pegs where there's a little bit down at the bottom, so they need to slide into the holes rather than just pull them apart like that. So be careful with that. Among Us. You want to twist this section around, and then you move it down, and there he is in his robot mode. Okay, maybe not. So what you want to do is open these side pieces. You'll move the arms out, bring them up. Then these pieces will fold in. You straighten out the arms, flip out the fists, straighten out the arm, flip out the fists. This panel will move up and peg into place up there. And this entire section will fold down and tab into place. Just move the arms down. And there is Sideswipe in his robot mode. So I really like this robot mode. I think it looks a lot better than the Siege version, which I don't have. The chests just always look like the wrong shape to me. It just doesn't look right. I especially like the colours. The colours on this thing pop so much. The white and the black doesn't look great on camera due to the lights, which is a shame. Anyway, moving on to articulation. He's got a ball joint at the head, which allows him to look all around. He's got swivels at the arms, and a hinge at the shoulder. There is a swivel at the bicep and a hinge at the elbow that allows for a 90-degree bend. There's no wrist swivel due to it having to fold into the arm. There is a waist swivel that isn't hindered by anything, so you can get full range of movement. This is mainly for transformation. The legs can move this far forward as well as this far back. There is a thigh swivel, thank goodness. There is also a bend at the knee, which could be better, but I think it's alright. There is an ankle pivot, and there's not really any toe articulation since they have to snap down into place like this. But it does allow you to be able to get this guy into some somewhat dynamic poses. Now, of course, he does come with the two accessories that you saw earlier. His gun, which can go in his hand just like that, and his missile launcher, which I like to put up on his left shoulder so that this peg doesn't get in the way. Now, a cool thing about this weapon launcher is that it can actually split into two halves, so you can shoot that out and have it look like he hasn't got anything there. I think it could have been interesting if maybe they had packed in his jetpack that came, I think, with the Centaurian drone, but it's not necessary. He had it in like one episode and gave it to Optimus, so who cares? Really, who actually cares that much? And full size comparison, here he is next to Optimus, really giving off that 84 vibe here. And here he is next to Titan's Return Hot Rod. You can definitely see the difference here in size. But let's be honest, Sideswipe is much better engineered than Hot Rod. I really like these two figures, even if they do get a little drowned out on camera due to the white and black. But they are really, really nice. Two of my favourite figures from last year. Even if they were maybe a little bit expensive, but that makes sense since they are exclusives. At least these ones didn't break on me. 2 weeks. But that's about it for this video. Links to my socials will be down in the description, so I guess that's salut, BC out.